Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new video in the Thuluth script. In today's video we are going to continue with the letter Ha, Jeem and Kha, and we are going to look into the other shapes that we mentioned before. So today we're going to take the second shape with the second body, let's say. So for today we're going to look into the one that looks like this and the body that comes back and goes back. So the body itself you could sort of connect to the one to the head that we saw previously in the previous video, and again the body from the previous video could be connected to this head. So for this head we're going to start with the first move, which is 2 points of width. Now again the hat's head is 5 points just like the previous one, but we're going to look into the 2 point width move, which is the first one that you should start with. And for this one we would take 3 points from here. So what will happen is that you've got the move that comes back, but then you've got the moves that sort of goes back. So we're going to leave 1 point here, which represents the second move up here, and the second move would start from here and it will be 3 points of width. So we're going to drag this down here. We've got 1, 2 and 3, and this is basically where our move would be sort of governed. So what will happen is that we will start from here and go down to the right with a width of 2 points. So starting from here, and we're going to curve it down to the right just like this. As we can see. Now from here, this is the first move, which is moving down with a curvature. From here we're going to move backward just like this, and we're going to start from this point and we will break. So you have to go up and break from here. So the move that we're going to do now would look like this. So we have to move the pin up on the right, just like this. So we move up on the right, and here's something about this is that when you take the top part of it, it will slightly curve downward, but not by much. And it is a curvature, so keep that in mind. So you go up, start curving downward, and you would stop here. So here we've got our first and second move ready. You would know that you made the right shape here by looking into the negative space, and it would be something like this. Then down with this point that we made here, we're going to add 1 point which will govern our comeback, which is basically coming back from here and going downward, and this would have to go below this line basically. So when you do this move you have to keep an eye on some edges. So for example, this edge here on the left side of the hat head is where the move has to stop and turn around, and again you could add another point down here to govern your movement by forcing you to go down instead of going to the left. So this point will help you generate the right shape down here. And on the right, that would be for a later stage. We're going to add another point that we're going to see the right side of the hat would extrude from. So holding the pin here with an angle that is this sharp, you'd have to sort of curve down a bit, then go left, and keep in mind that you're moving downward, and here it will start to decrease in size. So you're going to go left, and it is not to do with the angle of the pen, it's more of a what do you call it, the way you hold the pen with is the determining factor of it being thin by here. So if you were to take a line from here, you would see the curvature that we got here is quite visible, and it ends kind of early-ish. Once we reach here, you have to continue, and you will find that the way you hold the pen with is it sort of generates this shape, the second curvature that we're going to have here, which is again gonna sort of intersect with a line somewhere here. So what you will have to do is measure an angle down here and keep moving downward with it to get this curve. It's similar to the previous sort of end shape or lower body shape that we saw in the previous hat. Now down here you will find that this edge would have a 1 point sort of curvature, because if it was too sharp, this will be quite close to the angle down here. If it was too shallow, it will come back. And again, what helps you to see this shape is looking inside and seeing that you've got this elliptical shape basically. But again, it's a joint of several curves, so you have to keep in mind that now you will basically change the curve into something else. Anyway, you would stop here and you would take some measurements to determine the next move that you've got. So these 3 points that come above this thickness are the points where the shape, when it comes back from here, so it's going to curve back, it's going to come close to this line, but then it will rotate backward. And these 3 points are the points that will determine this last move, which is going back this way. And from the third point, you would take 2 points to the right, 2 points to the left, to make sure that you've got 5 points of width with regards to the lower part. Now, we've stopped here, and we are going to continue with a curvature that is going upward. And keeping in mind this lower line and this edge that we added earlier, this will have to go up 2 points to give you this balancing feature of that sort of distinguish this hat from other shapes. So you're starting from here with this angle. I'm going to leave a gap so that you could see the angle, and you're going to move upward. Now moving upward will generate automatically this thin edge of the letter. And while moving, you're going to change directions into the upward move and coming back. Again, you have to give yourself good space with regards to curvatures. Don't force anything. And we're going to stop here, basically. The reason we stopped here is that you will have to finish the letter with the tip of the pen, so that it will decrease inside back there and it will be this way. So the last bit of it will be a sort of paint drone in a way or another, or you could use the thick part of the pen to just make it easier. So we could add more scale points here, so this could be lifted up a bit, but what I wanted to focus on with you is these curves, the going down until you reach this point with its being thin, then it starts to change into a thicker shape that follows this ellipse right over here. Then once you reach this point down below, you will have to start moving back upward. So how to practice these moves, because trying to memorize all of them at once might be a bit sort of demanding. What you could do is divide them. So you're going to take the first point and add your 2 points and your 3 points for this move, and you will know that it has to be this long and it has to be this wide. So you're going to start from here, going to move down, and you're going to stop here. So this way you start to practice your first move, making sure that it looks nice. You could go back and check how it looks like. Now I did curve it a lot here, but with time you will start to get your head around just making it smoother, because you already know how thick this or how big this point is, and you would start to generate prettier shapes that don't need much fixing. Then you would do the second one, which has this curvature that we talked about from at the beginning, which means that you have to go up, then curve back, just like this. So this curvature is important because when it closes on this one, you will have this effect of roundiness on the left side of the hat, which could be kind of tricky on how to generate. The last part would be the hardest in my opinion, and for that one I'm just going to change into a smaller pen so that we could see how to properly practice it. So to do that part, what you need to do is try and separate the moves, as we said. Start with the first one, which is going back from the top, going left, and you would stop here. Just try this move first, and the more you practice it, the better it starts to get, and you need to give yourself enough space going to the left, because as you know, you've got your move that is coming back from here, which is 5 points, and it is a long move. Then you have to come back, so you have to give yourself good distance going to the left. And the last one would be to curve back, and keep in mind that the next curvature will be going upward, just like this. So you can see the lower part down here. We're going to actually zoom out this one just to see how it looks like. It looks like an end of a noon, if you have experience with other scripts. It's kind of imbalanced, so you have more weight to the left side of it. So to do the letter again without the scaling, we would start with 1, going down, then we do 2, going up with a curvature that comes back, oh, the ink is playing around. Then we go down with 3, which will end with the left side of the letter. Then 4, which is this curve down here. Then 5, which is going upward and slightly outside the edge of the right edge of the letter. Then we're gonna go upward, back, and finishing. This curve should be more curvier, and finishing it with an upper edge, less like this one. So you would keep practicing it. Sometimes I try to do it all like this side, coming back, because it feels more natural for me. Stopping, going back, hitting the left side, having the thin part of the pen showing its size, going back to the right, and starting curving upward, keeping in mind that you have to go upward here, and finishing with the thin edge right over here. So as we said, before you start making a big full letter like this one, you should put the scale and try to sort of limit your moves, let's say, and practice them. After you learn these things, you have to keep scale your your letter, just to keep in mind how big it is and to memorize it, because that's what I do. I basically try and practice the letter as much as I could so that it becomes a natural move for me, and you could check your curves. So as we said, the top part could come with the previous body of the hat that we learned before, or you could use this top hat that we learned last time and connect with this body if you like to. And it's kind of a designer's feature with regards to the applications of this shape. So for example, some calligraphers would use this shape to connect to other letters. Now you would use this ha to connect to an alif, but you could also connect a ba from here, from the inside of the ha. You could connect meme. So you will find this shape quite abundant because it's prettier, it is more challenging to write. It's in a way or another better than the one that we saw before. So here we saw the letter ha, the second shape of it that comes by itself this way, or it comes connected. And when we connect this ha, it basically connects to certain letters. You wouldn't connect it to whatever letter you want it to, So for that one, what will happen is that we're gonna connect it with, for example, ha, meme, ra. It connects to letters that go downward, and for that one we're gonna see how it looks like coming at the beginning of a word. And like the previous ha, it will change with regards to the height of the with regards to the drop of the head. So again, you would start with the same move, which is going down, and just going to do it quickly here. And what will change is that when you do your second move, which is going back, you will stop here and you will add 1 point of drop enjoined with the 5 points of width. So back here, you've got your head and you need to drop 1 point. So this hat will have to drop drastically down that point, as you can see. So you go up. This could use more height, to be honest with you. And taking the edge of this move is where you're going to put your 1 point so that you force yourself into going downward here. And when you go downward here, it's the point where you're going to connect with a letter that is going downward. So again, you're going to add 1 point, another one, and this will show you basically the line where you're going to take your move down to here, and it will connect with the following letter. And here you could add 1 point to give the move its full size or full capacity. So we're going to move down, and that's where your connection stops. So from here you could connect it to the next letter, and we could actually, since we know how to write the letter ha, we could connect it to a letter ha. So from here, from this side, you're going to have 1.5 points, and that is where your ha would sort of start. So we're going back, going down, and when you connect has to each other, they have to come at an angle. And this ha, the one that comes after this top part, is basically a ha that is the previous one, the one that we saw before, which is going back, but it will not be curving downward much. It will be more of a straightish one. So you could actually, if you want now to connect it with another ha, you could, leaving 1.5 point. Is basically how this move would, this is how you generate this move. It is coming from the right, moving downward, and it's a very sort of easy kind of shape. So here we have a ha, jeem, let's say, and we could add a ba, which means that we have to add 1 point to curve our letter and give it a ba down here, for example, and you could continue the ba. So you could see this combination of letters. If this ha comes at the beginning, it means that it has to connect to something going downward, and it's not just the ha that connects from the top. We've got letters, they are similar to the other scripts, meme, ra, ya. So if you were to connect it to a ya or a meme, you would use the same shape. So you would go up, left, then right, going downward for 1 point. This should be a bit longer. After you go down for 1 point, you would start curving backward. And let's say that we've got a ya. You would give it the first move of a ya, then connect it to the body of a ya. So yeah, you see how it connects. The same thing goes if it was a meme. You would go down, and depending on the meme that comes after it, usually it is this one, so that it would continue with the ra shape, the one that looks like this. It is quite often used with the letter ra. So you would go up, curve backward, and here is where where comes the idea of having the end part. So here it ends. Now you're going to start your ra, could be a bit shallower. Starting the ra from here means that you're going to add the scale of the ra back here, and you're going to drop the ra for 2 points. This is something that we're going to come to discuss later. Then you would come back and adding 2 points of the ra scale back here. So you would end it up with a nice ra just like this. And this way you will have a proper sort of size ra, instead of, because part of it is connected to the previous connection from here, which some people could misunderstand, and they would do the ra down here. Now you have to give the letter its proper and full size. So this is the second shape. It comes at the beginning, it comes by itself, it connects to the letters from the above. You could also connect this to a ha. Again, it's the letters from Rahima. This is ra, mim, ya, another ha or a jeem or a kha. And if there was a ha, it would be the same story, because ha, in general, you have the shape that goes down and then it comes up, and you would curve it and bring it back. So what we talk about is this connection. So as you can see, it is pointing downward. If you were to connect an upward movement to this downward movement, it won't work. It will show a nabira here. That's why basically we use this shape. And with regards to the part where the ha connects to a jeem or a kha, so you end here and you've got this slight curvature. It's not a straight line. And yeah, when this comes back, so let's say that you take this part, a straight line from here, it will drop half a point, and this is where your ha would basically curve down, then back with the thickness of 5 points. And again, to have a 1 point here, you're going to add 1.5 points actually back here, so that it would give you a proper, because it's the same, it's what happened down here. It was 1.5. I just added 1 to sort of remind you of this. So 1.5 points, because when you drop here, it will sort of take 1 point from the inside, but it will take 1.5 on the outside, and you would, yeah, basically this is how you connect it. Previously, we talked about the ha that connects like this. You go up, then you come back, and you stop here with dropping 1 point below this line, and it basically works the same way. But as we said, for letter ba, we have different shapes. So this could be a letter ba. We've got this connection, which we will look into, that would look like a ba. And with regards to the letter lam that we talked about before, which is going down, then breaking to the left for 2 points, then coming back. We might come back to these shapes later. I think we will come to it when we write words and examples, because we also have a ba that is the same as this one, which we'll look into when we take other letters like ya and something like that. But I prefer for us to learn the letters, how they look like. You would practice the alif by itself, the ba by itself, the ha, jeem, kha, the different shapes of them, because we still have another shape that comes with certain letters. And there are lots of cases in this script for letters. So to summarize, now you know how to write two shapes of the hat. You could practice both of them because learning one could mess up the other. You're going to practice the hat that we talked last time, which is this one. And you should try it with both shapes, the one that goes back and the one that comes back around. So you would do the first move and you would come back with a shape that we've learned today. You would have to scale it and do that sort of stuff just to get the right shape. Again, you would move on to the next hat, the one that we learned today, and for that one you will practice the first move by itself, the second move by itself, then you would go down for the fourth, fifth, sixth, which is joined between the fourth and the fifth, and the seventh would be coming back. And you could also use the normal body with this hat just to practice as much as you could. Then what you could do is connect, for example, this hat with another hat, keeping in mind that you have to drop for 1 point. And now you have to give it its slantation to the left. You would drop 1.5 points down here. And we're going to connect it to an alif. The following letter would be an alif. So you're going to come back, give its proper size, which will end just right over here. Then you're going to connect it to an alif going upward. Then you would add a ba. With the same rules that we talked about with regards to the letter ba. This is a bit long. Yeah, the ending needs to be sharper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and yeah. So this is the word hijab. You could practice the hat connected to a jeem using this one, because you need to practice this move basically, just to get your head around the different shapes. You could write hajij actually, which is a tricky one, because you've got a hat that is going to connect to a jeem, using this move. This has to be shallower. Then ya jeem. So you're gonna drop down for this jeem. Then you're gonna add a ya, and the move for the ya could be the one that we learned last time, which is going up and down, or it could be this one, which is basically this one but with a curvature back there. And again, you would drag it proper sort of length, and this would come back just like this with a proper length, and the end part here would be again the different shapes that we learned, either this one or the one we've learned last time. And you would finish this. And with regards to the dots, because it's hajij, you've got the jeem here, so this is the jeem. You've got the ya, which will come over here, and you've got the jeem, which will come down here in the middle. So this will sort of kind of give you a good idea about, it will sharpen your skill into connecting different letters that will be challenging for you to do, but it's very important so that when you need it, you'll have the ability to produce it. Now this is for the Jeem. Here you will have to leave 1 or 2 points. We've got 1 point here, we've got the 2 points for the right side. Again, you would go down here, you would scale your lower parts. This needs to be a bit lower. Your curvatures are good, the way they intersect and they end is good. And yeah, you would scale your script after doing it. So here you have 2 practices to start with. And yeah, this Jeem does not connect in the middle. Sometimes you'll find calligraphers sort of connect this part to something, so they would find something that goes up and they could connect it to, but it's not a famous or like a usual thing to do. I've seen some calligraphers do it, but it's more of a, let's say, okay, it's like a creative way of writing something. It's more of an artistic rather than an actual way of writing it. So don't do this for the time being. Focus on learning the original shape. This has been a kind of a hefty lesson, I would say, and I hope it will help you realize how important and how sort of majestic this script is. I hope you benefited from this video. Like, share and subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about Arabic calligraphy. And with regards to the other shapes and some other notes that we could go through, we will leave that for future lessons. Sometimes I forget stuff, so yeah, when I remember them, I will just explain them during the lessons. So make sure to watch the videos fully. And yeah, this has been Amar Abadi. As usual, stay safe out there and have a lovely day, evening or night, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.